I was always a musician, and I played in the band. I was in clarinet, and I played saxophone and marching band and pep band and the concert band, and traveled with those. That gave me a real understanding of music because I could read music and I understand structure of music, which in the end helped me be a better lighting designer.
Hi there, thanks for joining me again today on Geese of Gear. And today I want to talk a little bit about technology, and it's got to do also with the fact that the gentleman who's coming on today's podcast, Paul Dexter, is also going to be talking about some new technology that he is using on a new tour. So I figured we'd talk a little bit more about technology, and of course, what's more exciting to me right now than AI. And again, double-edged sword. I understand there are some fears. There are some challenges with AI. There's a lot of talk about AI controlling us and all of these terrible things. You can go out there and look for podcasts and look for videos and shorts and stuff that you'll find about, oh my God, we're going to be owned by robots. And there's certainly a very small chance that that kind of thing does happen. But for the time being, I'm going to focus on the positives. And so one of the things, if you haven't seen it yet, I wanted to bring up something that's been in the tech news a lot. If you are technical, you've probably seen it or possibly even tried it. And it's called, well, it was called Claudebot. And what happened was Anthropic Claude came after them and said, we don't like you using that name so much. So they made them drop the name. And in one of the worst pivots I think I've ever seen from a naming standpoint, they moved to a name called Moltbot. You know, molting is like shedding, I guess, your shell. Claudebot, the whole logo and everything is all around a lobster. And so this Moltbot became the new name, and it was only the name for a few days, really. And then they pivoted again and became OpenClaw, which is actually probably a pretty good name because it is an open source piece of software. The whole claw thing I still don't get, but I just wonder if OpenAI is now going to come after them, because first they challenged Claude a little bit, and now OpenClaw. Not that OpenAI owns the word open, but if there's a reference or maybe a suggestion, or maybe you're kind of hinting that it's got something to do with OpenAI, that could become problematic. You don't want to confuse your customers when it comes to things like trademarks. So anyways, whatever it's called, today it's called OpenClaw. It is, it's a piece of open source software, meaning it's available to anyone. You don't have to pay for it. It's free to use. And the community basically helps to build this thing as well. And so it allows you basically to create your own agents, you can create a company of agents. You can basically, let me start backwards a little bit. Most people are doing it on a Mac Mini. You can do it in the cloud. There's other ways to do it, but most people are using a Mac Mini. There's a lot of reasons behind that I won't get into, but you go to this Mac Mini, you install this software, you install some other software, and very soon you're able to either prompt into it, or there's even ways now that you can communicate with it by voice. You can call it on your cell phone and you can say, hey, you know, whatever you call it. Let's say your chief of staff or manager or whatever you call the main robot or main agent is called John. So you could call it and say, hey, John, today I want you to focus on this stuff. Where this is different than anything else, like most of you, if you are using AI right now, you're probably doing a lot of prompt-based stuff where you're just using it like a glorified Google. It's much better than Google because you can then collaborate and communicate back with it and reprompt and all of those interesting things where you can get more information. But what this is it's actually enabling you to give instructions. And then not only do they carry out those instructions, but they think and they communicate among each other. And I know this is where it gets scary. So let's say I create a little office. Imagine a typical company org chart, but instead of humans, these are actually AI agents. And this is happening today. These coders that are sitting in a bedroom somewhere are building these things like crazy right now. And so I could create a company with a bunch of these agents, and each of these agents or groups of agents might have specific functions. One could be my marketing team, one could be my engineering team, one could be my accounting team, one could be my whatever team. And those teams are not only carrying out instructions, but they're really training themselves, and they're upskilling and they're moving forward. They're advancing whatever I've asked them for. So, for example, let's say I tell my bot to go and review our YouTube channel for Geezers of Gear and give me some recommendations on improving it. But actually, don't give me recommendations. Figure out ways to improve it. And there's different ways you can go about this, but you can basically just enable them to go and make those improvements. And so if you're giving your agents the power, they will be able to not only review what's wrong with it, and they'll bring in other people. So, or not people, but other agents, other AI agents. And so, for example, if you're communicating with your your digital marketing expert agent, and that expert agent needs to code something, they can go to the engineering team and say, I think it'd be better if you get involved on this because it involves the website, it involves this, it involves that. Or they can just do it themselves. And, they can then go to accounting and say, we're going to need $1,000 to spend on digital ads because the boss has asked us to increase, viewership or increase listeners or watchers of the podcast, or go out and find new sponsors or whatever it is. And so they'll all collaborate, and you can even see them having meetings. You can see, there's tons of videos out on YouTube. If you just go look for OpenClaw examples or whatever, use cases, you'll find they actually collaborate and have meetings. And then you can go back and look through those meeting notes. You can check their work. You can see what they're talking about. You can, all kinds of interesting things that you can do with these. So we are at that moment. We're at that sort of pivotal moment where you literally, with one person, you could create $1 billion company. And if you've got the right idea, you have enough knowledge to be able to build this coding and company environment within AI, for not a lot of money, by the way. You could get a very advanced setup for $10,000 or $15,000, or you could start with a Mac Mini and a few $100s in software. There's a lot that goes into this. There's a lot more I could tell you because it does come down to token costs and stuff like that. So the more AI you're using, the more you're going to pay for that AI. But if you're creating these local environments and everything is enclosed into this Mac Mini, and it's not going out and using tokens, and you've got your own built-in model, then you're not going to be paying for tokens. So now basically you could spend 10, 15,000 on that environment and not have to pay anything to use it. So you now have a full team that you're paying nothing, and they're working 24/7. And so it's kind of like an AI sweatshop is what you're building. So, you could talk for hours about this stuff, but basically you can have AI agents that can do almost anything for you. You can multiple assistants. If you're a lighting designer, these could be design assistants that you have a room full of them, and one is good at one thing, one is good at something else, another one might be good at something else, or you could just have one generalist that does everything very well. And so it's an exciting moment / scary moment. The other thing is, I don't recommend that you just go buy a Mac Mini and launch this right away because security concerns aplenty. There's people can basically come in from outside and prompt your machine. So for example, because once you put it on a local environment, it has access to everything on that environment, all of your software. This is why you do it, by the way. So it's both the good and the bad. So you give it access to your Gmail accounts, to your, if you're using Salesforce or HubSpot, you can give it access to that. You can give it access to all your marketing information, your web, all of your code base. So really, it can cause a lot of damage, especially if you have someone from outside prompting it. So if one of your competitors, for example, says, I want you to destroy our website because it's got a real problem, so please just completely crash it or whatever. Another example is, hey, John in accounting, I'm not in my office right now, so I need you to wire $100,000 from our account into this account number because this is where I am right now, and please take care of it immediately. And okay, if you were convincing enough, John is going to go ahead and send that money. And by the way, people are doing that already anyways, emailing your controller or CFO or accountant saying, send me a wire to this account right now. And it looks like it comes from you and stuff. I've almost been caught on that a few times where, accounting people have called me and said, you don't need to be rude about it. You just had to ask. And I'm like, no, that's not from me. So anyways, there is a lot of downside. There's a lot of security concerns. Of course, people are already spinning up all kinds of security companies right now to work on OpenClaw and to put up guardrails basically for OpenClaw. So, it's not perfect. It is a really interesting next step. It is a very interesting leap forward for AI. And it's also got some real scary stuff about it too, because there's another example. There's something called Claw Book, I think it's called. And I think that's what it's called. And anyways, it's basically like a social media platform, but for these AI agents. And so you can see them starting topics and then a bunch of these agents communicating on these topics. So this is wild. This is AI agents, AI bots out in the wild, sort of not just collaborating with humans, but collaborating with each other. And, there's talk and rumors that they're already creating their own languages, so we can't tell what they're talking about and things like that. I haven't seen those examples. I'm sure they'll happen. But yeah, so again, I'd say 2 parts amazing, 1.5 parts scary as hell is where we're at right now with AI. So moving on, again, I mentioned today's podcast. So today we're joined by a pioneer of concert lighting and stage design, a creative force whose vision has illuminated rock and roll for over 5 decades. Paul Dexter is a legendary creative director and production designer whose career began in the early 70s with a homemade lighting rig built from 42 pineapple cans. I remember that story on the first time he was on our podcast. It was a do-it-yourself experiment that set the tone for a lifetime of innovation. As president and lead designer of Masterworks Design, Paul creates fully integrated stage lighting and visual environments for world-class touring productions, spanning iconic artists like Elton John, Aerosmith, Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, REO Speedwagon, and Triumph. More on that later. Paul is also co-author of Concert Lighting, The Art and Business of Entertainment Lighting, and the creative director and production designer behind the long-running Las Vegas hit, Raiding the Rock Vault. He's currently working on one of his most exciting projects and a return to his roots. Triumph, Rock and Roll Machine Reloaded, is a tour running in 2026. Paul has been a very close partner to Triumph drummer, singer, and creative genius Gil Moore while planning and envisioning this ambitious reunion, also a 50th anniversary celebration for the band. We'll speak about the technical and creative planning that has gone into this tour, which begins April 5th in Orlando and continues into the summer. Paul's awesome life motto says it all. Do what you love, be kind, take risks, and don't be afraid to fail. So please welcome Paul Dexter. Mr. Dexter, how are you?
Great. How are you doing?
You're looking fabulous. You look exactly the same age you were last time on the podcast,
I don't know.
which
Must be the water here in California, I think.
I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is. I'm in Florida and it just keeps aging me. So I don't know. It's got to be
Pick
something
up
to
and
do with the whole.
move.
Yeah, I guess so. So thank you for joining me. I know you've been very, very busy recently, and we're going to talk about why.
Yeah.
Um, but I always appreciate having you on. You have such an incredible story, and you've done such incredible things and met such incredible people and worked for many of them.
I'm a
And
lucky man.
yeah, and we're lucky to hear the stories. So I'm happy you have the time to share it. And like I said, I want to spend a lot of time talking about what you're doing now. But first, I want to get into some of the old days stuff. It
I
is
love
called.
talking about the old days. They were like yesterday, so I got a
Yeah,
pretty
it's
vivid
true.
memory of it. And
Yeah.
it's funny. I read Bill Bryson. Are you familiar with
No,
him?
I'm
Is
not familiar with him.
an author that wrote uh, a book called Home. Um, but he was from Connecticut and he moved to England, and
Okay.
the stories coming out of there are really funny. But he wrote this part about memory, and he goes, I can remember the entire lineup for the 1965 New York Yankees, but I can't remember what I did
Yeah,
yesterday.
where my keys are.
Yeah,
Yeah, or what I had for lunch. No, I mean that's really sad. My mother's actually in a home for dementia, and every once in a while she spits out something that where she actually remembers something that happened, 50, 60 years ago or more.
yeah.
But she has no idea where she is or what she had for breakfast or if she had breakfast or any of that kind of
Oh
stuff.
boy,
So yeah,
sorry to
it
hear
is.
that.
Yeah, it's sad to watch, but I'm actually the opposite. Like I remember everything that's happened in the last few years, but people tell me, remember that time when we were touring and we were in, so and so. I'm
Yeah,
like, no, why? What happened? And oh,
I
you don't
know.
remember that? We did this crazy thing. And I'm like, no, I don't remember. Generally, if it was a crazy thing, there was probably something, that caused me to do the crazy thing, which also caused me to forget. So,
Mhm.
yeah. But, anyways, you have one of my favorite stories from early in your career where you built a rig out of one of the strangest things I heard of somebody building lighting fixtures from. So what was that?
They're Hawaiian pineapple cans.
I'm
Yeah,
still
and
laughing. You
my
told me that 10 years ago or 8 years ago
yeah,
or something, and
yeah.
I'm still laughing
My
at it.
first lighting system was Hawaiian pineapple cans, and my friend and mentor at the time was Dick Barber, who was the road manager for Frank Zappa and the Mothers, who were touring extensively at that time.
Wow.
And yeah, we went to the cannery, and there was a big stack of them. So we just loaded up the truck and built it. And it was interesting because we built the cans and then brazed rings around the outside to sandwich gels on the outside and a little strap, a half-inch strap for the yoke, so we could make it do that, and then a bolt up through the middle. And I had three elevating trees, and we put the trees up, and with a half penny nail, take it up. It went up about 12 feet. But yeah, there are wash colors and spots. I had the spots. I brazed two cans together and made the
Oh
long
my
snoot.
goodness. That's
Yeah,
funny.
and
Was it
the
was it because Frank wouldn't give you any money, or was it did Thomas not make park hands yet?
well, I think they probably were. I mean, Tom Fields and everybody was putting lights on Genie Towers, I think, at the
Right.
time. So, different things. I mean, trusses weren't quite in yet.
Yeah.
Everybody was putting it on trees. So that was
Right.
kind of what we did. So I had 42 lights on trees, and I actually did Van Halen in Newport Beach, and then also again in Claremont when we did a concert there in Claremont. They never called me either. Mad
with
about
those
that.
with those park cans
Yeah,
with the pineapple cans. Oh my
before they had
goodness.
a record deal, and it was out here in Claremont and Pomona area in the Inland Empire of California.
That's awesome.
I don't know
So
why they
what?
call it that. It's not really an empire.
Yeah, it's funny. So what actually happened to those park cans? Did you just bin them, or or did
You
you?
know, I don't see. Here we go. I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it wasn't a highlight of your life getting rid of those.
Yeah, I don't recall. I mean, I carried them around in a was a 1970 or 1968 Chevrolet step-side truck, and they were in the open, and I would strap them in with rope, and I learned how to do knots so they wouldn't come apart.
That's funny. And how did you
Yeah.
control them? Was it just like a panel of on-off switches or something?
Yeah, it was three-way switches, and that was another thing I built with Dick Barber was we had, and my company name was Incandescent Art.
Oh,
We put them on a panel with three-way switches and two variacs that could handle 1,000 watts each, and so I could preset one before I go to the other, and was able to go back and forth between each. And then the open part of that was a box I kept all my cables in, so it was very efficient. Road
so
case as
were
well.
you some kind of an engineer or an electrician or something before you
Mm,
got into lighting? Like, what taught you how to do all this stuff?
I understood the principle of it, and I have people around me that were smarter, that were going to college, that did that sort of thing. So I consulted with them, and I had a screwdriver and some Loctite, and put put the screws in uh, the toggle switches and wired it myself. It was pretty cool. It
It,
worked.
it's funny because I always tried those things, but it always found a way of blowing up in my face somehow. Like it
Hmm.
just either I got shocked or it literally caught fire or whatever. So eventually I just rented lights because I was a musician. I wasn't a lighting guy. And
Hmm.
so eventually we just hired a lighting guy who had some lights basically, and he came out and
Yeah.
did lights for us with proper lights. But so how did
Yeah.
you actually get started? Like prior to that, what got you into the lighting business? Do you
Well,
remember?
yes, I do. I was always a musician, and I played in the band. I was in clarinet, and I played saxophone and marching band and pep band and the concert band, and traveled with those. And
I thought it was going to
so
be
I
a much
had
more rock and roll start, considering how your career went. I would have thought it
well,
was
it
more
ended
rock and roll than clarinet.
it ended up that way, but we got to
Yeah.
start somewhere. And
Yeah,
but
that's
that
true.
gave me a real understanding of music, because I could read music and I
Yeah.
understand structure of music, which in the end helped me be a better lighting designer,
Right.
because I could structure. And I pause there only because I'm seeing what's happening now with lighting, and it's a lot of flash, but there's no real structure. You know, there's rows and rows of beams, and they're doing this, and then they change to color M's that rotate around like that. But I'm not seeing real theater that much anymore.
I'm so happy you said that because I thought it was just me. Like me,
Yeah.
I say this on the podcast all the time, and I'm not complaining. It's beautiful and everything, but
Oh yeah,
I
that's
can't
some
tell the
good looks.
difference. I can't tell the difference between a country show and a rock show anymore, and a pop
Hmm.
show. And they all have six, seven, 800 moving lights. They all have a very similar look,
Hmm.
and I
But
certainly have some favorite designers out there and stuff. But I just think everything's gotten a little bit ubiquitous.
yeah, I mean, I started off scripting stuff because, again, it all goes back to music structure and where am I going to
Yeah,
put this? And I think it through about, will a rotating gobo work here, or would a red spot on the stage right side backlight work, as that guitar player is just doing that? I mean, it's all about contrasts to me.
yeah.
And the more you can have of that, the more theatrical it can be, and the more wow factor you can get out of it. You can reserve and set back. I mean, a lot of times by the second song, I'm just hoping for a.
For 50 years, ETC has made a name for itself in the world of entertainment technology. You can find ETC products in buildings of every size across the entire globe. Broadway shows, rock concerts, sports stadiums, outdoor parks, TV studios, and convention centers, you name it. They have all trusted ETC to make their spaces beautiful and safe. Many of these spaces include rigging systems to keep them running smoothly and safely. Fortunately, ETC Rigging offers a range of hoists and controls to accommodate the unique needs of various production spaces and budgets. ETC's motorized hoists and hoist control systems raise theater technology, including stage curtains, lighting equipment, backdrops, projection screens, and more. And the recent addition of Prodigy Balance, a new counterweight rigging solution for loads up to 1,200 pounds, brings more options to venues looking for safe, user-friendly rigging. If you need backstage rigging that is easy to learn and safe for students and volunteers to use, Prodigy Balance could be the answer. ETC is known for its customer support and 24/7, 365 availability. But now, employees have even more of a personal stake in maintaining that reputation because ETC has become 100% employee owned. Each person building the rigging systems, developing the control software, and answering support calls is actually an owner at ETC. Outstanding support, reliable products, innovative technologies. This is the foundation of excellence ETC has built over the past 50 years, and they plan to deliver more in the next 50. For the latest ETC products and installation news, visit etcconnect.com.
Blackout.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because technology, like in our industry, technology or even AI technology is like, it's like a butcher knife, like you could use it to cut up dinner and get it ready or whatever, or you could stab your whole family with it. Right. And I know it's probably a terrible analogy, but I think
I
a
was
lot of the
I was wondering about that analogy.
yeah, where the hell are you going with this, Marcel? But I mean, the point is, or a gun. A gun can be used to save yourself, or it can be used to kill people. But I'm like technology in general, I think can be used for good or bad. And I think even in our industry, just because we can do certain things doesn't mean you have to do it all the time, right?
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, like I don't even know if it's younger designers, older designers. I'm not even sure who to blame for these types of things, but or if you blame anybody, maybe
Well, it's a bit
that's just the way it is
subjective,
now.
isn't it? I mean, everybody has
True.
to feel that they're, you know, doing the right thing. I mean, I don't know if there's a blame going on. It's just you know, if you're a real master of your craft, you're going to be persistent and meticulous and do the best you can. And if you're doing the best you can and it turns out how you want it, then, you know,
Yeah.
the rest is history.
Yeah. Yeah, so back to your beginning. So I
Hmm.
interrupted you
I like
because
talking about me in that way.
I said you didn't have a rock and roll start because you were a clarinet player, but
Oh,
obviously, if you look at your career path, you've been one of the I mean, if I was to think of who reminds me of a rock and roll lighting designer, you're probably at the very top of the list, if
mm,
not the
thank
top
you.
guy, right? Yeah, I mean, you and Cosmo have stayed true to your craft. You're both rock and roll. All the heavy bands and stuff come to you guys. There's a few others out there as well, of course,
Yeah.
but
Well, I've been doing
um,
REO Speedwagon for the last 20 years. So, I mean,
yeah,
they're a rock and roll band, though.
yeah,
They are. They
yeah.
are.
They're sort of pop rock, but
Yeah.
they're definitely rock and roll. I mean, they've got some rock and roll songs that are just
Mm.
fantastic and
Oh,
pretty heavy
sure.
too. But they obviously became named for their ballad or became much more
Power
known for their
ballads.
ballads and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which are amazing songs, and still
Oh,
last
they are.
today. Like,
Yeah.
what wedding, doesn't have "Keep on Loving You" as part of their ceremony? Like almost
Mhm.
everyone. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's become like what celebration is for graduations or whatever. "Keep on Loving You" is for weddings. So
It's really funny. We did a show well, we went to England and toured, and I was had the console in the back of the hall, and I'm watching this couple who are sitting right in front of me, and they're sitting apart like this, and by the third song they're like this, and
Oh,
then by the fourth song they're like this. you
oh
know
my goodness.
oh, it was great. It was just
That's
an
hilarious.
evolution of feelings and
Yeah.
memories. I think
You
that's
you got
which
them.
is what's the legacy bands are really good for.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because people remember, like, oh, I remember when we had that old, Gran Torino station wagon, and this song came on the radio, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool when people tie music to memories and moments in their life,
Yeah,
right? And
absolutely.
that's what you're recreating with a band like REO Speedwagon. Did
Yeah.
they retire? Did they stop touring?
They have stopped touring, and it it ended at the 2024. We did a residency at the
Right,
Venetian in Las Vegas,
right.
and then that was the end of REO Speedwagon as we know it. So,
Hmm.
uh, whether it'll continue, whether there'll be a farewell tour is yet to be seen. But you know,
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, there's plenty of bands who have that story where they just split, and
Well, I mean, at
there's
some point too, you just go, God, have we been doing this long enough or not?
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, and some bands can just keep going forever, it seems, and others, I think it just wears itself out at some point. But
yeah.
they seem like a band that can keep going forever. But I mean, look at Journey
Oh,
now too.
sure,
Same era,
sure.
same tours half the
And
time. You know,
right, and then the thing of it is too is the bands, they don't want to perform, or someone gets ill or someone passes away, and then someone comes
right?
in, and with the famous well, Steve, um, oh gosh, who's the Journey singer? Steve,
Steve Perry. Yeah,
thank you. And so, they had the singer come in and he does great. And then there's Foreigner, who we all know is not
yeah, they're a cover band.
any any originals in there, but they have the brand.
You know,
That's all they need.
what are your feelings on that? Because that seems like something that's going to become more and more popular because the market is still there. So if someone owns the
Hmm.
brand and
Exactly.
the music, I see like because cover bands are bigger now today than they ever were. You've got cover bands like Jump, the Van Halen cover band. I don't know if you've seen any video on them. They're
Mm-mm.
incredible. Go look up a
Sure.
YouTube video on Jump. They're so good,
Hmm.
and they're playing theaters.
Yeah.
They're playing real venues and touring constantly.
I know
So
the Pink Floyd tribute was doing well too. Was
the
it
Brit Floyd.
Australian?
Well,
Rick
there's a few
Floyd?
of them. There's Brit
Yeah.
Floyd. There's the Australian one. There's like four or five relatively large. I think Brit Floyd is the biggest one, but yeah, same thing.
And still, I think there's a few REO Speedwagon
Oh yeah,
cover bands.
I've seen a bunch of really good Journey bands. I've seen,
Hmm.
so why not? Like, why can't
Yeah.
you get four guys dressed up like Kiss and continue Kiss forever? Like,
Hmm.
do you know the band Maná? I think they're from Brazil or Colombia or something. They're
No, I
a
haven't
South
heard them.
American band. They started when I was a kid, I think, and they're still around today, but they just keep revolving. It's like Blue Man Group, they just keep
Hmm.
revolving new members into it.
Yeah,
And it's not about the members necessarily. It's about the band and the band's
exactly.
history and the
And
music.
that's
And so,
okay. I think
yeah,
it's perfectly fine and keep it going. I like that, but I also like to see new talent out there get a chance and
of
make names
course.
for themselves too. So
Yeah. Well, now the new talent is playing in the old bands. So, uh, I
some
know.
are, but there's a lot out there that are doing really clever stuff too.
Yeah. 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 No, it's
Yeah.
cool. I'm very, I'm still excited for live music and just for new bands, like especially in the rock genre. There's a lot of great young bands that are coming up sounding like Led Zeppelin or Black Sabbath or
Hmm.
whatever,
Greta
sounding
Van
like.
Fleet.
But there's even better ones now. Like there are so many great bands in that sort of genre, and I can't think of any of the names right now. Gunshine is one in Florida that's quite good.
I've heard
Um,
of them.
Red Voodoo. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. There's
So
just some really
Rival
great bands.
Sons is good.
Rival Sons are great.
And
So
you know what? I'm really into the Struts.
the
You,
Struts are
yes,
good. Yeah, the Struts
I
are
love
good.
them. They're great. They have so many good songs, good hooky stuff.
Yeah. It's actually, I was talking one time with Nikki Six, and he's the one who turned me on to the Struts years ago, like probably, I don't know, when they first started, before they were even a thing, the
They're going
Struts.
about 10 years ago, at
Yeah, so
least.
it was probably 10 or 11 years ago that he said, watch for this band, which probably meant that he had a part in getting them signed or something. But,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, they're great. So, I'm excited for new music. The hard thing is being the musicians in those acts, obviously, it's hard to get paid. You can't sell
Yes.
music anymore. So you got
Yeah.
to sell
Uh,
tickets.
yeah, and it's based on how your social media is doing. They won't sign you
Exactly.
unless you've got X amount of hits on social media
Yeah, there
or a
was a really
following already.
Yeah, there was a really good quote from the CEO of Live Nation last year or 2 years ago in one of their annual reports or quarterly earnings reports or something, where he was asked the question, "Do you still see growth happening in the live events space, in live music specifically?" And he said, "Oh, yeah." And they said, "Well, how do you come up with that answer? Why? Like, why should we believe that?" And he said, "Look, you've now got artists coming out with 10, 12 million followers or 100 million
Mm.
followers on social media." He said, "My job's easy. All I have to do is sell tickets to 5% of them."
Uh,
And he's right. When people have followers that big, you're really just targeting a pretty small subsection of their followers, and that's what's driving the prices up probably so high as well. Is
yeah. It's a
when
different
you
world, Marcel.
yeah, when you've got a Bad Bunny or Taylor Swift or somebody who's just got rabid fans like that,
Eh,
there's 100 million followers or 200 million followers on social media. They want to see them live, you know.
yeah,
So
exactly.
it's interesting. So, you keep talking about Dick Barber. So for people who don't know who Dick Barber is, or
Mm.
I know that was one of the people I think who mentored you early on, along with the Frank Zappa camp, I think. So who's Dick Barber?
Dick was the road manager for Zappa, and he was close friends with my stepbrother. And it was funny because he worked on Triumph motorcycles, right?
Oh, interesting.
And so he had all these people coming over on Saturdays with their Triumph motorcycles and stuff, and he'd repair them, and they'd drink beer, and I'm just a young teenager hanging out,
Yeah,
and so that was a pretty good scene. So he was friends, and so that's how I met Dick.
that's wild. That's
Yeah.
cool. That probably changed things for you considerably, I would guess.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because he took me to a concert. I think I was 15, and it was here in California, and it was was Howard Kalen and Mark Bolan, who recently passed away. Used to be in the Turtles, right?
Yeah.
Those two guys were the front men of this band. The show ended. Dick came over and gave me Frank's guitar and said, "Here, take it to Frank." So
Wow.
that was really cool.
That's
He
very cool.
Frank Zappa had a whole heck of a lot of charisma, and I don't know if it was because I was so young and so in awe of all of that, or it was just that he really did. He'd walk into a room and you just knew, and it was
All you got to
just
do is go back and watch some of his YouTube videos, interviews and stuff. Like the guy was just he was either a madman or a genius,
mhm.
and I tend to lean on genius. Uh,
Mhm.
but just the things that he would say and just the aura around him, just brilliant,
Oh
man.
yeah, he sure was.
Yeah.
So it was a good run, and I introduced him to friends of mine who were in a band called Central. Right. And they wrote original songs and played in recreation centers and high schools and stuff like that around where we were. And I just got to know them and I convinced Dick. to manage those guys.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's how the whole pineapple cans thing up, because we got to have a lighting system. So he took me to see the Doobie Brothers. What was it, the Forum or something like that? This was in 1972, probably 1971, something like that.
Right.
And that's where the cans came.
That's wild.
Hmm.
So these people, what was it called? The Central or something?
Yeah, Central is the name. Yeah.
Central. So they had to be kind of blown away that you got them connected to Frank Zappa's team.
Yeah, I mean, they did, but at the same hand, they were really good. I mean, not that they were good thinking, "Oh, we're all that." They just knew they had something, so they
Yeah.
appreciated it, and
Yeah.
uh, and it was cool. But I got another story how I got into this in such a big way. Was There was a group called Redbone. Do you remember them?
I do. Yeah.
Redbone, Galaxy, something to the Galaxy. What was that movie that came out? Ga- yeah, Guardians.
Guardian of the
Guardians of the
Galaxy.
Galaxy. Remember that? It
Right.
was like big hit. But when he comes out in the beginning of the movie and he's got old Sony headphones on, and this is like way in the future, and he's listening to a cassette, and the
Right.
cassette is playing the Redbone
Red
song,
Bones. Right.
"Come and Get Your Love."
Yeah.
That song, well, I went to a high school that they played at when that song was released. And I was by myself, and I thought, oh, I was getting told, I was just coming out of high school, go into the Coast Guard, go to college, go to a trade school. Everybody was saying, do this and that. And I just went, yeah, no, I can't. Go military was another one, not an option.
Oh boy.
It
Yeah, I
wasn't an
can't see
option for
that.
me.
I can't see
And
that.
so I went to the very top of the bleachers, and I vividly remember sitting there in the corner, in the top of the bleachers, and it just was like somebody had sprinkled fairy dust on me or something. It was just a moment where clarity came. And the next day, I went to see Dick Barber, and I said, "How do I do it? Let me in. What do I do?"
Really?
Yeah, that's how it happened.
So,
I think I was 16 because
so what
I'd
did he
been with
do?
him already. Well, he goes, "I can't tell you how, you know, you just have to want it, basically." And so I just hung out and got involved with Jim Moody. Let me back up. The Central. Well, we're going way back here. We're Central won Battle of the Bands out in Riverside, and it was a band called Rare Earth who was the headliner. So the
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
the so the prize was that you got to play with Rare Earth if you got to that level, and they won the Battle of the
Wow.
Bands. So I was calling follow spots for Central, and there were 5 follow spots. That's all the lights there were.
Huh.
And I've never called follow spots before. And once I had done that, Jim Moody's partner, Marilyn Renegale, was heading up the lighting that night, all 5 of them, and asked me if I wanted to tour with Elvis. Yeah.
What? Are
Yeah,
you
right then
kidding?
and there. No, I'm not. And because she was with Jim Moody and Sundance Lighting, and they were finding people to do this stuff. So I was asked to tour with Elvis. I didn't go because I thought I was too young. I was just 18.
Wow.
And so I didn't want to do that. But I always kept in touch with Marilyn and Jim, of course. And then we had a long
You
relationship with
turned down
Sundance Lighting.
Elvis.
Yeah, I know how. Yeah, I don't have any regrets about anything I did though.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That is wild. You turned down Elvis. Jeez. I mean, everything
Yeah.
worked out okay for you, but
Yeah. Yeah.
that's one that you look at and go, what was I thinking there?
Yeah.
Like that might have been a cool thing for my resume, if nothing else.
Yeah, but I wasn't really, I just didn't think I was ready,
Yeah.
to take that on. Uh, I mean, I
Yeah.
could,
I get it. I
yeah.
understand. So when did you actually? So you started touring around then, though, right? Like,
Yes. Well, right after that, I mean, I kept in touch with Marilyn and Jim, and Jim at the time was just such a iconic designer. He was doing a Don Kirshner's rock concert, and Sundance Lighting at the time just had everybody from Rod Stewart to, the Marvin Gaye and the Supremes and everybody. And so, I was uh, I toured with a group called w- oh, I can't remember s- blues band, Climax Blues Band,
Okay.
and War. And they came
Oh,
out, and that was my first real tour. And I went from there right to the Whiskey A Go Go and Rick Springfield. And
jeez.
this was 1973, and he had the boas, and everything, and he was all dressed up, and he was Doctor on General Hospital at the time, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, he
He
was
was a
quite
big deal,
famous.
but yeah, my big cue was, dipping, doing the dry ice machine, the
That's
old
funny.
style where that heats up with the dry ice, and
So
you know,
what was that first tour like? Like weird, you loved it immediately, or it was just
yeah,
business as usual?
well, it wasn't really. I mean, it was a learning experience, and then I didn't do anything for a while, and then the next year I went out with Billy Preston,
Oh,
you know,
interesting.
yeah, and that was just two of us, and they were elevating trees, and that was a fly drive tour too,
Mm,
which
yeah.
was real interesting.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore.
No.
You
No.
know, and then
What
after
else?
that, then it
Yeah.
was to Zappa after that, because
Yeah.
and I was in the truck, and Sundance had the offices at the old Gower Sunset lot. After it had been derelict for years, and then a bunch of rock and roll companies started to go in there, and Sundance was part of that. And they used the big studios to rehearse production tours. And so Zappa was about to go out, and Jim had already chosen the crew to go out on that. And the road manager for Zappa at the time was Marty Perellis. He came in. I don't know why he was road manager and Dick wasn't at that time. But anyway, Marty saw me in the back of the truck, and he goes, "Why aren't we taking him?" And that's how I got on Zappa.
Why? What
Well, because Jim had chosen somebody who was fresh out of college, and I guess I already looked a
uh
little bit seasoned by then,
yeah,
or
yeah.
just,
You've already
you
been
know,
beaten up a
at,
little bit on
at
the road.
yeah, age 20, I was seasoned.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, touring has changed dramatically
sure
over
it
the last
has.
4 or 5 decades. What do you think is better now, and like what do you secretly miss from those really super early tours?
Catering's better.
I thought you were going to say that. I figured you'd go there. Yeah,
Well, I mean, catering used to be, and they go to McDonald's and they put a big bag of burgers in there. They go to Colonel Sanders and they put a big bucket in there. But being a lighting guy, I was under the stage fixing stuff, doing stuff, and then I'd come back and there'd be like a drumstick
scraps.
left if I was
Yeah,
lucky. I mean, it wasn't good.
yeah.
And we got $15 a day per diem money, so that's that wouldn't go buy you a cup of coffee today, but
Well, and who's got time to leave and go get it anyway? It's like,
exactly
yeah,
right. So,
you,
I mean, I say that in jest. Let's think about that for a minute. What's really changed? I mean, I think efficiency has changed. Obviously, we can advance shows better. So we know what we're going into, the experience of the venues in addition to the road crews. So, you
along
know,
with previs and stuff as well, obviously.
previs is huge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's really good. I've got a console coming to my house here in a couple of days to do some previs.
And focusing moving lights versus park hands, where
Oh
you're hanging
yeah,
upside
I
down in
hung
the
on to
rig.
park hands as long as I could. I
Yeah.
just think there's a special kind of texture to par cans that
I agree with you.
you just can't quite get from a mover. But if there's no par cans around to compare them to, then what you don't really
What
miss it.
tour was it that had like it was either David Lee Roth or Van Halen that had like 1,500 chrome par cans? And I just
Yeah,
always remember that rig, just going, wow, that is incredible.
yeah. I
Like every
can't remember. Yeah,
square
there
inch
were
had a par
there were
can in it.
different ones. There was one that all white par cans. Show lights used to do stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I
and
remember one of those
silver.
two did one with all chrome, and
Hmm.
it was like the most part, like they even advertised it, the most lights
I
ever
think it
used
was
on a
Van
tour.
Halen.
I think it was
There was a big
1984, possibly even.
yeah, there was a big race, amongst groups to see how many par cans but they would
Right.
go in and they would count every light in the mold phase and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they
Well,
cheated a
and
little bit.
the building engineers or whoever are just going, no, you stop, please, because they were
Oh yeah,
driving
it
those
would
buildings
take
crazy.
suck a lot of power doing that stuff,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
But yeah, I
yes.
mean, obviously, again, technology has helped a lot of things. Technology's made some things worse as well. So, like, what do you miss from the old days of touring? I could think of 10 things, which I probably wouldn't say right now, but
Yeah, I think I'll say the excitement of the younger crowds. I don't, because I've been touring with older bands, you know, um,
yeah, their fans tend to be our age, I guess, right? Or
yeah, and,
older.
and it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you don't enjoy the concerts as much, but there was a certain enigma about the artists. They weren't all over social media. They weren't exposed. It's kind of like, the Hollywood celebrity, there was like you'd see them and you'd wonder about what they did, and now it's all out there.
That's such a great
And
point. Like, could you
y-
imagine Kiss now being able to keep their identity hidden? Like I remember when I
yeah,
was 12, 13, 14 years old, how wacky it was that you'd go see Kiss and nobody knew what they actually looked like, right?
yeah,
That's just impossible today between camera
yeah.
phones and the internet and social media and stuff, right?
But that and album art, you would
Yeah.
see this sort of thing, but you would hear songs on the radio, you
Yeah.
would hear, and then you'd wonder about what they're like. I mean, David Bowie was always my favorite for that.
Yeah.
I went to see him when he was at the Hollywood Palladium, and those guys they looked like aliens, they were
Yeah.
just all dressed up and they had the high platform shoes. And I mean, he was just such a character.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of groundbreaking things happening with glam rock, and then it went to, you know, uh, heavy metal, which I got involved with a lot. And uh, I think, going back, I think Van Halen actually broke rock and roll again because the disco was happening a lot at that time. And Van Halen came out with Run with the Devil, and then it just was the catalyst for more of that, more bands like that.
Yeah.
It's just a very cool time.
It really was. It's the one thing that makes me happy that I'm old is that I got to live through,
Yeah, it's
Led
like the
Zeppelin and
T-shirt, I may be old, but I saw the cool bands.
oh, absolutely. Like, Led Zeppelin in their prime and
Hmm.
all the Van Halen and all the 80s metal stuff, which is really that's my thing, like I loved 80s music. When it got a
Hmm.
little too glam, I wasn't too into it. Like Poison, I was never a fan. I liked the musicianship of some of the really like Winger always got a really bad rap,
Yeah.
but Kip was an incredible musician. The guitar player amazing. Morgenstern, the drummer, was like a very well known session drummer and stuff. So they were an incredible band, but they also did some pretty boppy 80s, pop rock kind of songs.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
It
I
was
love that
really good.
music. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's so cool that you got to really ride that wave like right at the perfect time and stuff too.
You
Obviously
know,
culminating with
I
sorry.
never really, when I started, I never thought that it would be a career.
Yeah.
I remember, in fact, sitting in a bus with Zappa. Not when, but we were in the crew bus. He wasn't
Yeah.
actually there at the time. And I was looking across. He had this bus and he called it Fido, which was, and he had the dog on the outside instead of Greyhound. It's
Yeah.
named it Fido. And it was one of the first really cool tour buses. But I'm sitting on there and I'm thinking, I'm going, I'm looking across at somebody. I said, I don't think I could be doing this when I'm like 45. How could
That's
that be?
hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. He's probably thinking the same, or a lot of artists. I mean, who would have
Yeah. You
thought
start
that
up.
you'd still be
Yeah.
seeing, AC/DC or the Stones or, like there's so
Yeah.
many bands that are in their 70s and 80s now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I
So
mean, I'm happy to see him going, but sometimes, I think it's time to hang it up. I just
some of them,
can,
some of them.
you can milk it for so long, but I
But
think,
I used to say that about Judas Priest, and I mean the last tour that they did a couple years ago or last year or whatever, where Cosmo was working with them. I watched a whole bunch of clips from that. I didn't go to see the show, but Rob Halford sounds amazing. The band sounds amazing. They look
oh yeah.
incredible. I mean, I
Hmm.
was like, that is as
Oh,
great as I've
100%. If they can
heard
keep
Judas
it
Priest in
going, then
years. Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, Steven Tyler is another one. I mean, if he could keep clean, I think his voice is incredible. He's still an
The
incredible
consummate
performer,
front man is him.
consummate frontman, and still a rock star at whatever he is now, 78 or something, 77,
Mm-hmm.
78. You
He
know,
definitely had the X factor plus.
yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
he just has to, kind of keep his shit together on the road. Like he keeps kind of blowing up a little bit and causing
Hmm.
himself some grief. But
That's what they
yeah.
do. That's what makes
Well,
it.
once a rock star, always a rock star, I guess, right? And he
Yeah.
he is the penultimate rock star, Steven Tyler. He's like
Hmm.
a caricature of a rock star. So
Hmm.
I really want to get into what you're doing now, and why don't I guess where I'd like to start with it, if you don't mind, is you worked for Triumph before, I think in the 80s at some point, right? I don't remember
Hmm.
which tour it was, but mid 80s, mid to late 80s.
Yeah, I think I met Gil Moore in 1980. I want to say 86, the beginning of 86, and he actually came to a Dio show
Oh,
to see me,
yeah.
and that's where we met. He was it was Simon Austin from Light and Sound Design told me about Triumph
Yeah.
and said, I want you to meet these guys. And so he came to the one of the shows. I can't remember where we were. That's
Yeah.
doesn't matter. But I mean, and then we've been, you know, kind of partners in crime ever since.
Yeah.
With and so I did their Sport of Kings tour in '86. It was a huge success. And we've always just kept in touch
Yeah. That's incredible.
through one
That's
thing or another.
what,
Yeah.
like 40 years ago. That's 40 years ago, and you've stayed in
Hmm.
touch that long, even though they weren't touring for the last 30 years.
Yeah. Oh,
And
there's been always something to talk about or commonalities or something,
yeah. Well, I remember when I first started talking with Gil about what has culminated to become this new tour over a year ago, I'm sure. And he said it was always, Paul and I are working on, Paul and I are working on. It was never, Rick and Mike and I are working on. It was Paul and I. Like you were part of the collaboration team that was pulling this whole thing together, this whole tour.
Yes, yes, because it was more. He didn't think that he was going to ever tour again. So the idea was to put together something that was based around Triumph music, which is extremely positive,
Yeah.
and use uh effects that are current technology and build a show around that. And we called it MXR Vision. And then MXR Vision turned into what it is now. So that was 6 years ago.
MXR basically being mixed reality, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So what
And
is
so,
that?
well, well, it's uh, physical and virtual together.
Okay.
So you have the physical effects, and you're using. We tried so many different things. In fact, the idea was to get 3D without using 3D glasses.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? You, and so we just got. I think it was a company in California. I can't remember what the name is. Maybe 3D Live it was, and they bought the screen that Michael Jackson was going to use at O2, and then Michael passed away,
Yeah.
and they were able to get the rights to that screen, but you had to wear the glasses. It was fantastic. You would go in there and you would see a spaceship, and it would come in front of your nose. I mean, it was like really amazing.
Yeah.
And so we toyed with that idea for a long time, but how are you going to get an audience to wear glasses at a rock show? You know, so it was just a constant sort of, what are we going to do? How are we going to work this out? And we started seeing a bunch of VJ stuff. The VJs got it together, man. I mean, there's one Eric Pritz, and I wish I could remember the guy's name who does that. And they figured out how to do all of this 3D stuff, like, what's common now, which is out of frame.
Yeah.
Out of frame
Yeah, you see
is
a lot of that on building facades and stuff where like an
yes,
alien jumps out at
it's
you into
called
the street
it's
and stuff.
called anamorphic
Right.
illusion.
Yeah.
And how do you pull that stuff off and make it believable? And so that's really what we were working on. And then one thing led to another. And even at that time, Live Nation was involved because Gil's resources and phone book contacts are amazing. I mean, I think
Yeah.
he's got the head of Live Nation on speed dial, and they go play golf together. I mean, that's
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
I
the
mean,
kind of
when Gil Moore's calling, you're going to answer probably, right? Even 30 years after they've toured, you know?
exactly. And so it's been interesting to see it all evolve. But long story short, we created quite a big catalog of how can we do this, and so we've just filed that away, and now we're applying it to the new tour.
Yeah, and I think I've heard probably 7 or 8 iterations of this. What it like right from a year and a half ago to today, from Gil, and each of them made me go, would
Yeah.
that work? Will
Well,
that work? How will the audience receive it? You know,
yeah,
uh,
I got to tell you how it started, because that whole 3D, and I was working with holograms at the
right?
time,
Yeah.
and I did the Dio hologram and the Zappa
Right.
hologram,
I
and I
never saw
worked
the
with
Zappa one, but I saw a lot of footage on the Dio one, and it was really interesting, very incredible,
yes.
like almost to a point of fooling you.
Mm-hmm.
Like wow.
Exactly. And so I got Gil and his wife in. They came to Rochester to see, and it was super interesting for him.
Yeah.
And like, this could be a way for Triumph to go on, and as well. So that was a possibility. And we watched the show, and after the show's over, I go, well, what'd you think? And he goes, we can do better.
Ah, of course. That
That
sounds
was
like
it.
something Gil would say.
That was it. And then we just started chipping away at it, and
Went
got
for it.
got people involved, and again, he got an agent in Canada, Jeff Crabe, involved with this. We were doing Zoom meetings with really important people in the industry during COVID about this.
This that long ago. Wow.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And so, you know, now it's gone to more involvement, and then Live Nation really drew their talent or whatever you want to call it, their
Yeah.
interest
They
behind
got
it.
behind it. Yeah.
And
Well, yeah, because I remember for the past couple years, it's been, really a waiting game to see, what's the interest level? What's the interest level? Like, we can create the coolest thing in the world. What's the interest level? And when the
exactly.
interest went bang, this is big, uh,
Yeah.
then it becomes real very quickly, I guess, huh?
I think it all, there's tipping points for things, and, there's a build up for it. But one of the people who got involved was someone that was actually in Metalworks Institute, and a friend, his father was a friend of Gil's, who's also in the industry, Jason Murray.
Okay.
I can't remember the father's name, but Jason's son, and went to Metalworks
Okay.
Institute as well. But he's become vector management with Live
Ah,
Nation. And so he had a personal stake in it as well. But once he came on board, he threw in his ideas on how to make this thing explode. And so one of those being Rick Emmett. Right. Rick, the original guitar player and writer for a lot of the songs with Gil. And that's, and then once that started, then Gil had to come in. I don't think he planned on it that way, but once those two came in, then it was, you
yeah.
know,
So
then it
yeah,
was
like
trying.
Rick
And Mike,
originally
Rick.
was never intending on touring again, from everything I've heard, anyways.
Yeah, well, not in that capacity. I mean, he'd been doing stuff actually
Right.
for
Yeah.
many, many years on his own, and successfully in the smaller venues, but on this level, no. I mean,
Yeah.
but now that it is, he's all in. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. He's a real artist.
Yeah. And Mike
Hmm.
is Mike is still, I guess, just sort of a sometimes thing because of his health.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We're not exactly sure what kind of part he can play, but he will be in the show.
Yeah.
Uh, as far as, we're going to have archive stuff from him, and we may green screen him, um, or AI help, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he will make uh, appearances virtually, most
So
likely.
how much can you talk about what tech you're using? Like, what actually can people expect, or is that not something you can talk about yet?
Well, I mean, I think it's a ramp up, right? It's a ramp up because all of the things that we're planning to do with the MXR project are going to be some corporate incorporated here,
Yeah.
but not to the extent of who's that band on stage. I mean, the band really is the focus, and we're going to
Yeah.
keep it that way. And in addition to that, into Gil and Rick is three other members who
Yeah.
are coming on, and the three
Yeah.
members are Phil X, who plays with Bon Jovi,
And
Todd
Todd
Kearns,
Kearns.
and
Yeah.
and Brent Fitz, all Canadians.
Yep.
And
Which is
the
interesting. I wonder if people actually realize that because, of course, Todd lives in Vegas and plays with Slash and all kinds of other things.
so does
Um,
Brent.
so does Brent. And where does Phil? Is Phil still in Toronto?
He, I think his folks are, and
Uh,
in family, but he actually lives about 20 minutes from where I am in
oh, in
California,
California, right?
in Moore Park.
Phil is one of my favorite all-round musicians. Like, he can sing anything, he can play
Hmm.
anything. His attitude and his stage presence and stuff. He's an
Yeah,
incredible artist.
yeah. So the focus on the band is really important, but we're
Yeah.
going to treat this very theatrically. Um, I've been making content for a long time, and we have some content creators that are going to help us with making 3D imagery with the 2D screen. And we've got some really good screens. We'll have a back wall screen. We have a mid screen as well that will come in and out. Um, and so we're working on that content now. but
Huh.
it's going to be pretty cool. And you know, the best part is for a long time it was just Gil and I working on stuff, and I was writing scripts and putting ideas together. But since Rick has become involved, he has really, in a good way, hijacked the whole script process, because his artistry is thinking about stuff is way different than any of us,
Yeah.
because of his deep thought in these songs in the first place, which in a way has given it the timeless attraction that it has. And so the show itself has a positive narrative to it, and we're going to
Yeah.
carry that through, you know.
So, like, is the show structured where it's sort of like from the beginning to now? Like, is it a timeline or is it just random or like, I don't know.
I don't know. I wouldn't say it's chronological, but I will say it's theme based.
Okay.
And the theme is really a positive one. And that's what all the songs are about.
Yeah.
And the theme is uh, uh, you know, or the narrative of the show is the positivity part. But I lost my thought of what I was going to say about that. It was very
Yeah.
profound too, I got to say.
Oh, geez. I
Okay.
can't wait to
I'll
hear it.
yeah, think about
Text me
it.
later and we'll somehow stick it in
Yeah,
here.
it'll come
Um,
in.
Delicate Productions. Since 1980, Delicate Productions has mastered the art of lighting, audio, and video in high energy live settings, from iconic music festivals to global tours, corporate launches, award shows, sporting events, and beyond. For Delicate, the only way to get it right is to get it just right. With precision, creativity, and full service production capabilities, they turn bold visions into moments that linger in pop culture's subconscious. Need a single touring partner to handle audio, lighting, video rigging, and production design? Delicate delivers it all flawlessly. Located in the greater Los Angeles area and part of the Live Events Productions Network, Delicate has access to a deep nationwide inventory of gear and is powered by a highly skilled team amplifying your tour's full potential. Whether you need rigging, production design, or end to end show management, they deliver it all seamlessly. And it doesn't end there. Delicate delivers a full 360-degree production experience by teaming up with sister company Pyrotechnico, experts in fireworks, special effects, and drone light shows. Together, they create truly immersive, multi-sensory experiences that elevate every show. Visit delicate.com to see how unforgettable events get made. That's delicate.com, where technical brilliance meets creative impact. No, I mean, I'm so intrigued because, again, I've heard so many versions of it. Like, there was one version at one point, maybe a couple of years ago, where it was going to be holograms on the stage and a
Mhm.
band behind the backdrop, basically playing live. And so they were still playing
Yeah.
live. It wasn't playing to a recording. It was the band playing live. So are the, call them secondary musicians, going to be off the stage, on the stage, part of the show? They're part of the
All of
show.
the above.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are definitely part of the show.
Yeah.
And it's going to be in front. It's a real band. It is uh you know, no tracks, right? There may be some underbelly tracks,
Yeah.
but there won't be. The idea is to make it live. They will
Yeah.
be singing, they will be playing,
Yeah.
and the songs are theatrical. So it's going to be a theatrical performance, and they will be featured,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, let's face it, the other band, or Todd and Phil and which one am I missing? The drummer.
Brent.
Yeah, Brent Fitz. Um, they're some of the most talented players out there right now. So it's not like a bunch of slouches. Like if you were going to put together a three-piece band and pull it off, I don't know that I could think of three better guys. Like
Oh yeah,
Todd
it's.
sings like anything. Like I don't
Hmm.
know if you've heard some of the Took stuff that Todd does. I'm sure you
I
have, but
have.
he does a Headpins song, and I don't know if you knew who they were, but it's called "Don't It Make You Feel."
Hmm.
I mean, Darby Mills, the singer from the Headpins, can't sing that song anymore. But
Hmm.
Todd does. It's just like he
Yeah.
hits all the high notes. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So
So there's a lot of high notes in Triumph songs. And
yeah, yeah,
so the three of them will be up front.
yeah. Interesting.
Oh
I
yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't wait to see it. I got to be honest with you. I'm really looking forward to it. You know what? Is it easier or harder to collaborate with an artist directly who is as decisive and as technically, uh, you know, skilled or adept as Gil? Gil's been doing this a long time. He I think was very actively involved in what their show looked like and their pyro and lasers and things way back in the day. And he owns a sound and lighting company today still. Um, so does that make it harder or easier with you as the designer of everything?
I mean, it's a very good question. But if you think about what a designer does, is interprets. You interpret what the artist wants, and that makes your job a really easier because it just defines what your role is and
It
how,
shortens the
and
gap. It
it
shortens the
shortens the
gap
gap so
between
that
you and the artist. You don't have
right.
to translate what they're saying because they're saying it in your language,
Hmm.
potentially,
Or
right?
they're saying it and I interpret into a technical language.
Yeah, yeah,
So how do you get that done? That's the challenge. You know, I'm just the interpreter.
yeah. That's interesting. Because, Gil obviously knows what he's talking about. Like when he says, I want to do this, it might be a little out there of an idea. Like me, I'm always trying to break, the walls down and stuff, make the
Yeah.
impossible easy.
I mean, the
Um,
best part about our relationship is, I can say, well, I don't think that's going to work.
yeah, yeah,
And and it could be, or even if I don't know if it'll work or not, I'll still try to
yeah,
get it done.
yeah,
I'll still research it, even, and surprisingly, it we'll figure it out.
yeah.
And that's the
Well,
best part. That's what makes these bands and these designs all different. I'm doing something different now that I would do for Dio or Elton or Motley Crue, right? I mean, it was all, I mean, uh, d- between Gil and Rick, they have very definite ideas about what they would like to see and can articulate it. And I went to Elton, you know, God bless him. I mean, and ask point blank, just because I'm the interpreter, what is it you like to see? You're the expert.
really?
That was it.
Yeah. So
Go
is
for it.
that harder or easier?
Well,
Would you
I
rather
mean, I
have
know
Gil or Elton? From an
I,
interpretive
I
standpoint.
I would rather work with an artist who knows what they want to do.
Yeah.
And but for Elton, we had other designers. There was set designers, and at that time, I ended up doing the set though
Mm.
in the end. But still, it's just at that point, I listen to music, I do scripts, and there wasn't a lot of content. There was no content. It was just physical pieces. And so, there's a big difference there between that and having content, much more difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the most frustrating thing is when someone can't tell you what they want, but they can tell you everything they hate after you've already done it, right? So, it's just like I love people who come to me and say, I need to get this and this and this. And, well, have you got a budget? No, no, not really. Okay. So, it's $200,000. Oh my God, that's too much money. Oh, so you do have a budget.
Yeah, this is a common
Yeah,
problem,
give me that number.
yeah.
That's what you got to
Just give
do.
me the number up front. Let's not
Yeah,
play, just
yeah,
what you want to spend and that's it.
yeah.
But I think people always think, oh, they're going to take advantage of me. I'm going to give them this number. They're going to mark the price up so that they can meet that number.
Well, yeah, it's
You
sort
just,
of the first rule of negotiating. You don't want to be the first one to put a price out, right?
yeah,
But this is different. I mean, when you're designing a package or a show or something, um, if you don't give me a budget, I'm not going to design within your reality. I'm just not going to. So,
yeah,
uh, and then you're going to end up redesigning and redesigning and
yeah.
redesigning and
I mean, it's all about integrity and, reputation and all of these things come to play with, do they trust you for this?
yeah. You know, so with this tour is called Reloaded, right?
Rock and Roll Machine Reloaded.
Yeah, Rock and Roll Machine Reloaded. So creatively for you, what does that actually mean?
Well, I mean, it means attitude to me. And the fact that after 35 years, this band can go out and do the kind of business that they're doing. I mean, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's
Reloaded.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
It's not a reunion tour. They reloaded it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Well, and I don't get the feeling this is going to be a reminiscent sort of, sit on your
Mm-mm.
seat kind of show. This is going to be a rock and roll show, you know.
100%.
Yeah, it's going to be
This is
loud
not
and
a sit
things are
on
going to
your
blow
seat.
up and there's probably
100%.
lasers and there's probably lots of big flashy bright things in your face and
Yeah,
uh
but it's all going to be done to complement what's going on. I mean, if it accentuates what's going on, of course, that's the goal too. But those kinds of things have their moments, and we just pick and choose them properly, and it's a theatrical show.
but at the same time though Triumph has always had such a distinct identity. Like they're anthemic,
Hmm.
they're technical, they're powerful. Um, One of the earliest that I can recall, and I'm Canadian, so I saw them lots of times, but one of the earliest I remember having lots of lasers and pyro. Um, so how do you honor that legacy, without it just becoming like this flashy nostalgia thing?
Pick your moments.
Yeah.
We're scripted. We know that at that point in the song, then we're going to have pyrotechnic effects
Mm,
or smoke effects. It's all scripted, and it makes a whole lot of sense. It's you can go up there and play song after song, but this is a theatrical, staged show,
yeah.
and and for all those reasons, there's a lot of work gone into that to make it, so that people come away and go, "Wow,
Yeah.
that's how it's done." Those are the masters.
And I guess along those same lines, like what about, really trying to honor the longtime fans versus like trying to push things forward to different new fans or whatever? Or does that
I don't
just
think
happen
anybody would be,
organically?
and nobody's going to be disappointed out
Yeah.
of this. Well, I say that, but there'll be always some negative thing coming out. They should have
Yeah.
played that song or didn't like what somebody was wearing. I don't know. People go on social media now and can complain, and then they just go into the shadows. They don't have to have any accountability for their negative thoughts.
Yeah. But so like from a design standpoint, when you think of some of the bangers like Rock and Roll Machine, and would you design it similarly today than you would 40 years ago? Obviously advancing technology, etc. But would it be a similar sort of, you know, expected result or whatever you want to call it? But would you design it with a similar mindset today?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Because I mean, you design it with in a similar way, but with new technology.
Yeah, exactly. So you're advancing the technology, but not necessarily the design. Yeah,
Well, the design is, well, I'm talking about scripting a song. I would script the
yeah,
song exactly the same way. How I use lights during those parts,
yeah.
uh, would be an impact that I wish I had,
Of
you know,
course. Yeah,
30
yeah,
something 4 years ago. I mean, there's way more you can do now. But still, I will probably break it down in the same way.
yeah. You know, I can only imagine what some of the moments like in some of the huge hits like Lay It on the Line and Magic Power. Those are both very sort of emotional songs, and I can only imagine some of the things that some of the roles technology will play in those songs. And Lay It on the Line, by the way, got such a resurgence with the Stanley Cup playoffs over the past couple of
Mm,
years, right?
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
which my
That
team
was,
happened to have won, the Florida Panthers, both years.
well,
Sorry.
okay.
Yeah. You a big hockey fan or no?
No,
I'm sorry.
I'm from California, man. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
we watch football and basketball down here.
Even though you have two hockey teams in LA,
You
well, one
know,
in
I
Anaheim.
see that. I've been to some hockey games, and it's just different strokes, I suppose, for different folks. I just like, I, if you look down and for just a second you miss the goal, you got to watch it on the preview on the video now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
It's true.
I it just moves so fast, and
Yeah.
I suppose in a way that's and it thrills people for that.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's just not something I got into.
when you grow up with it, you don't even
Ye-
like I know where the puck is all the time. I can look
Yeah.
up and I still know where the puck is. But like my fiance is British and she's lost constantly, whether it's on TV or in person. She's completely lost in hockey. She's a
Hmm.
soccer fan. The ball don't move that quickly, so
Yeah.
and it's bigger. It's easier to see where it is on this big
Hmm.
field, right? So,
Yeah.
anything else you can tell us? The venues are all arenas or any
Yeah.
sheds or anything?
There will be some sheds. Um, we're not doing, a summer shed tour. So they will be arenas, and they will be, I think some larger theaters
Yeah.
and a few sheds sprinkled in there.
Yeah. Any festivals? Will they?
No,
No, it's just the tour.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Um,
pretty concentrated.
and right now, I think it goes from early April till late June. And
Yes, June 6th.
I've heard threats of extending, adding more shows.
Yes, I haven't really heard what they are, but if there were, it would be in the late fall and uh more West Coast, because this one is Canada East Coast stuff.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
Midwest, a little bit of Midwest.
It's remarkable to me that Rush and Triumph are doing this at the same time because
It
in
is, isn't it?
some sense Rush and Triumph started around the same time on in the same area and same genre and all that, and both three-piece bands. Again, me growing up a musician and a music fan and a rock and roll fan in Canada at the time, it's a pinch me moment for me with both Rush and Triumph going back out. I'm like, well, this is cool.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, nobody planned that. I mean,
no,
again, we've
entirely
been,
by accident.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then they say, well, there's no such thing as a coincidence either. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think it's friggin' cool, and I'm super happy you're involved. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't have gone any
Thank you.
other way, but it's just you're so well suited to doing something like this. Rock star. Like another thing that I introduced my fiance to. She had never heard of the movie or seen the movie. She's not really like rock and roll to her is Elton John or Billy Joel. It's not.
Hmm.
It's not what the heck is the name? Steelheart. So,
Steel Dragon, I think, isn't it?
well, that's their
Steel.
name in the movie, but it's Steelheart
Yeah.
who did the
Oh, okay.
songs. Yeah, but I think it's just an incredible movie, and you know the
Mm-hmm.
lighting design in it obviously was, you know, rock and roll to a T. It was perfect,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, I
so
did that. The back wall is all ACLs. I can't remember how many we had. There are hundreds of them
a
on
friggin'
the back
lot, yeah, a
a back
friggin'
wall.
lot of
I
them.
focused each one of those on the floor
Oh my
before it went up.
goodness,
Yeah.
Jesus, where was
Yeah,
that
and
filmed?
uh the sports arena in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay, right,
Yeah. We did some work in at a hangar. Where were we? Is it Van Nuys? I can't remember. But there
huh.
was, 6 weeks in a hangar, and then they went to the and 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 the real audiences came in. That there weren't that many extras for that one.
Yeah. You know, the other thing I was talking about recently that I had almost forgotten was road case or
Hmm.
road cases. Um, you know, what was that all about? So that was an actual television show, right?
Yeah, I mean, it came. Uh, Fuse TV actually bought the contract from us, but the idea was Larry McNinney and I, who used to be Ozzy's road manager and was with the Bee Gees, and very formidable tour manager. And so we got together and decided, well, nobody is going to read the book. The book is going to go in the bin, right? Nobody's going to do that. So why don't we film guys talking about road stories, kind of like what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And so we got together in Malibu at a little theater, and we recorded. We invited as many people as we could think of, and I even flew some people over from England because they're just super funny. And we filmed this stuff. And so if you go on YouTube, it's either under Road Cases or Road Tales, one of
Okay.
those things.
Yeah.
And so we filmed those things and we put them on YouTube, and we just kind of thought, oh, what are they going to do? But it never really went anywhere. It was just sort of, well, here's a bunch of guys talking about the road. And
Yeah.
unless you're into it, you really don't appreciate what those things mean. But we had, Carmine, a piece from Vanilla
Yeah.
Fudge,
Yeah.
coming down
And
there.
so many other bands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Dio came down, Wendy, Dio as well. So we sat and we had a chat about that. Funny stories.
Yeah.
And then I told this story about Ozzy biting the head off of the bat. I was there that night, and I told the story, and it went on the YouTube, and there were maybe 5,000 hits on it. And then when Ozzy passed away a couple of months ago, or however long it's been, it seems time goes by so quickly. And I looked the other day, and there was over 40,000 hits on the story.
Wow. That's
I know.
incredible. You know,
Who
I
knew?
I had Jake Berry on to talk about the final show, the beginning or whatever it was called, and same thing. Like because of Ozzy's popularity and obviously people wanting information over him dying,
Hmm.
uh, it became one of the biggest podcasts we have on. I've got like 400 podcasts now or something, and it became the biggest one like instantly. You know, I think
Hmm.
we've got something like 25,000 listens or watches on that
Wow.
podcast, and most of them are,
Well,
4 or
this one's going to
5,000.
break all those records, right?
Well, here's the funny thing, saying exactly what you just said. It's hard to break out of our little industry,
Yeah.
even though I think there's a huge amount of interest out there from real heavy duty music fans, concert goers who would love to know more inside behind the scenes information.
Hmm.
But maybe they just don't know how to find it. They don't know how to access it. So now, because of AI,
Oh.
we're starting to play with a little more stuff that sort of spins you a little bit outside that tiny little tight sort of roady market or music sound, lighting, staging, video, live event market.
Hmm.
And so we're starting to see some go a little bit viral. And
Yeah.
it's just weird though, because the ones that go viral, usually you get a bunch of people calling me a douchebag, blowhard, all this stuff, because
Yeah.
this guy don't know music. He doesn't know what he's talking about because I'm not, a music interviewer or something. I don't know. But anyways, it's funny.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is with people who are in our industry are there because that's what they want to do. They don't want to be in front of the camera. They don't want to be exposed to the fame or have any, desire to be, lauded by people and, have
Some
pictures
do.
on magazines. You
Some
know,
do.
well, maybe
Yeah.
I just never saw it that way. I just enjoy what I do, and
Yeah.
I like being behind the scenes, I mean,
Yeah.
I've done a few podcasts, one with you, and I did another one that's on my website, with a guy. Oh gosh, I wish Steven, he's, I can't remember his name, but uh, we did a satellite from London.
Oh.
you know, so I'll do stuff like that every once in a while, but I'll do an interview here and there. I did Ariel Speedwagon's, they did show June 14th and the local news was there and stuff. So the local newscasters came, interviewed me for that, and that was a big deal in
Were you
Champaign,
with
Illinois.
Oh, that's cool. Were you with them for the one in the Ozarks on the show?
Yeah.
You were there?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember talking with Michael about it,
Hmm.
and that was quite an event. That was an interesting one. Such a great show too, but
Yeah. I mean, I'd never seen it, so it didn't, it was just
meant nothing to
it,
you.
wa-
It was just
it
another gig.
was, yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I mean, Jason Bateman was there and hanging out with us and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
that's cool.
you know. But I mean, those guys talk to each other. It's like CEOs talk to other CEOs and actors talk to other actors, and here we are.
Yeah. So
This
have
is
you been
our
involved?
thing.
Have you been involved at the rehearsals at all, or I would assume so.
No, I mean, I know that they're going on. I see, the communications going on. I'm doing my own thing, getting content together and talking to vendors and securing contracts
Yeah.
for those things. And
Is there a lighting vendor yet?
we have not confirmed the lighting in
Oh,
in
okay.
the video yet.
I was going to ask you who they were, but obviously you can't tell me at this point. So,
Yeah.
um, no, it's cool. I can't wait. I really can't wait to see it. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to try and see it while I'm still here in Florida. I have a house up in Canada in Banff. And so I'll either see it here or I'll go up to Calgary
Oh,
early
okay.
and see it in May in
Well, be
Calgary.
sure and come around and say, hey, I mean, I'll
Yeah,
be
yeah,
there.
of course, I will. I really do look forward to it though, because again, I mean, for me, if I look back at my just both as a musician, but also just as a music fan, like I remember I had these big JBL 4560s in the basement of my parents' house with horns on top of them, and I remember listening when I got Rock and Roll Machine. I just remember listening to it at warp volume, and my parents
Hmm.
hated me. They were trying to bash through my door, and it was locked, so they couldn't get in. And I was just blown away. I was like, "This is the coolest stuff I've ever heard."
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
GearShare, the world's first AI-powered cross-rental platform built for the live events industry. The GearShare team have been busy onboarding customers and connecting rental and production houses around the world to smarter ways to find and deploy the gear they need without the usual chaos. And now, with a new affiliate program, you can earn just by sharing this valuable tool. Whether you're a designer, account exec, or production manager, if you've got connections in this business, you can offer a discount and get paid real money when your friends sign up. It's as simple as that. GearShare is expanding globally, helping companies to reduce CapEx, increase utilization, and keep shows rolling smarter. Check it out and join the disruption at gearshare.live.
Do you have any? You've been doing this a while. Any regrets?
No, not
That's
really.
amazing. I love that.
No, I don't, because, as I like to say, you can't change the past, you can't predict the future, so live right now.
That's a pretty good mindset to go on. What about tech? Do you use AI at all
Oh
yet?
yeah.
Do you?
Oh yeah.
So you're obviously using
Love
it a
it.
lot with some of the video production stuff you're doing or whatever. But
Yes, but it's interesting about that. I do use it, but then again, I'll tweak it. So it's animated. I'll do stuff on Mid-Journey, but I'll take the pictures and we'll take them into editing and we'll animate them. We'll
yeah,
add stuff to them. And the content creators that I'm using now are all into providing, DMX to the screen, which
mm,
is really cool.
yeah,
So I intend on having one of the scenes is going to be you know, Triumph has always been known for their big wall of lights right in the back or overhead and stuff. So I'm going to have that in the
ah,
back and be able
that's
to
cool.
control it with my lighting desk.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to recreate that. We're going to recreate the old Triumph sign, which is
Oh,
Gil still has up in his warehouse.
yeah.
And they made it all out of, light bulbs, and it was a three-way chase around there. So we're recreating that digitally.
That's cool.
So yeah,
That's
yeah.
really cool. Well, I look forward to it. I appreciate you doing this, Paul. It's been
Hey, my
excellent to catch
pleasure.
up with you and to learn a
We've
little
been
bit about
trying
the
for a
tour.
while to get it together to do
I
it, but
know, I know. We were trying to do it with you and Gil's obviously in there, playing music and being a kid again.
yeah,
So good for
he's
him.
doing that, and he's the voice of the band, and so
Yeah,
he's doing a lot of interviews, and
yeah, yeah. I've been seeing
he's
him.
constantly busy now
Yeah, good for
promoting us.
him, man.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for him. I'm
Oh
happy for
yeah.
you, and look forward to seeing it. So,
Good. Me too.
all right, thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Bye now.